Hello again, everyone. Hello. The High Vibe Conversation crew is back. I'm Terry Earthwind Nichols with the illustrious
and Demetrius Nichols
and the Star crew. Welcome, everyone. Got a little. Well, we've done an interesting subject every week, and this really goes with a lot of discussion that's going on out there. Self-care equals self-love. Linda, bring this in because this is going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some major experts here. And I would love it if Shell would like to step in first and give the title of her book as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so on the nose for the new year, right? Because we're all navigating a lot of changes, especially at the beginning of the year. And sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in all the crap that's going on around you and forget to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And trust me, if you're not taking care of yourself, nobody else is going to know how to do it for you. So, I mean, I wrote a book about it, right? Loving yourself isn't selfish. I had to learn the hard way how to love myself again, or for the first time for that matter. And so it is a really great conversation today to be able to remind everybody that self-care is just as important as taking care of everybody else around you.
Ooh, great point.
You know, it really jumps on to the great resignation and all of that stuff. People are more aware of themselves now, and they're going to make changes for themselves, not for the companies they work for. You bosses out there,
get in touch with yourself.
Get in touch. Yeah. You know, with a lot of what we've been saying lately. Yes, yeah. Linda?
Absolutely. I was just talking right over you. I'm so excited about this subject. So who else would like to just pop in there? What's coming up for either one of you, Jenny or Dorit?
Sure. Should I grab it, Dorit?
Yeah.
Just grab it.
Sure. Well, what's coming up for me is that I used to think that people that were full of themselves, you know, like the people couldn't stop talking about themselves, like they were so in love with themselves. Like I know that it's a misinterpretation that a lot of people have, that, you know, that's what self-love looks like. But really, the more I'm doing my own inner work and the more I'm being self-compassionate and acceptant with who I am and who I am becoming, I'm learning that the people and the leaders and the coaches who are really doing their inner work and really do have a love for themselves, they are very able of holding that space for other people as well as themselves. That's coming from a place of enough. It's coming from a place of where service to others is a gift to yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's just, yeah.
It doesn't take away, it adds to. When you've done your own inner work, you're not drained. Like Dorit's our expert on burnout here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then the bragging, what feels like, you know, if somebody's bragging, you know, if you're doing your own inner work, there isn't really anything to brag about. Everything just is. People will see it. People will feel it. The outcomes that you're getting will show it. Yeah, really the brag part is more imposter syndrome. And yet, can you brag? Right? I mean, I'm in a Facebook group where there's Brag Wednesday or whatever, you know, right? It's important to be able to, quote unquote, brag about yourself. In Australia, it's like, oh, no, it's tall poppy syndrome. Don't do that. You know, so there's much growth available out there. And, you know, just, well, Jenny, you and I have had conversations about how a word, you know, is a word. It just is. Mm-hmm. And there's two. We've talked about the lack language of hope and the hopeful language of hope. How important hope is, like you're stranded somewhere, you know, keeping that hope that someone is going to come and rescue you is so important as well. So yeah, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. Dorit, what comes up for you when you think about self-care and self-love?
Well, for me, it's the old saying, you can't serve from an empty vessel, because I drained my vessel and I was trying to serve everyone, and there wasn't even fumes left in there. So
Nice.
I had to learn the hard way that I had to fill up and care for myself, and the kind of self-care, if you can call it that, I was practicing up until the burnout. That was kind of slapping on some nail polish like 10 minutes before we ran out the door, or maybe taking 10 minutes extra in the shower because the kids were sleeping.
Right.
So that was the extent of the time I took for me.
Yeah.
But now I have learned that caring for the Dorrit vessel is important stuff, and everyone around benefits if she's
right.
working. Yeah. So it's so super important for the physique. I mean, going for walks, exercising, eating healthy, all that kind of stuff that we do to take care of the body, but also the meditations and bursting out in song or dance, or just talking to positive people, or getting positive vibes, not just sad, draining people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
because as an empath, I attract those. So
Me too.
I actually used to work in stores or like beauty shops, things like that, and customers would just open their heart there in the shop.
Yes.
They came in to buy dog food or a new lipstick, and I heard about their sick aunt, or their dog was not feeling well, or an argument with their husband. It was like, okay, yeah, well,
Right.
thank you for sharing that, but I'm not a psychologist or therapist or anything. I'm just gonna charge you for this.
Yeah, right. I had that too, especially in the psychiatric day treatment center. I was working with little kids, and this new gal, and she was getting like her PhD in psychology. She goes, "Are you a psychologist?" Like, no. I don't know if it was Terry or a coach said to me one time, "Is like, you're like a victim magnet." The empath and sage kind of like, yup. And Terry's the same. Like in high school, they used to call him Doc. They would just go to him and ask him, "Hey, what do you think?" So he's always been a mentor. He doesn't even really like coaching that much. It's more mentorship for him.
Yeah, and I've never wanted to be a psychologist or anything. That's never been part of my world. And when I went through my career in the Navy, both officers and enlisted as well would seek my advice and confidence. Because they could just feel it. It was just there. I wasn't present with it, but it was certainly there. And then when I the last decade or so doing what I'm doing now, I come very much aware of all of those times in the past where it was just vibrational. I mean, they just walk up to me and start talking. Sometimes it was a surprise. I'm just like, okay, let's go somewhere to talk, because we're not talking here, and that amazing amount of trust. And Dorrit, you do it too. Well, all of us really. I've seen it in all of you, in watching videos and stuff with you guys. The victim magnet, almost. It's not really victim though. They're searching and for a vibration, and you have it, and boom, there it is. Vibration begets vibration. If you've ever this is very cool in chemistry class and physics class, you take a tuning fork and hit it, and then you just bring another tuning fork over near it. You hear it, and all of a sudden both of them are in sync. They're both vibrating. And that's what really happens with that on a human level. And that's really very cool.
You know, when we think about self-care, I was kind of thinking taking this conversation into the 21st century idea. Because, like, you know, just to get through wartime, Second World War, the like, put your red lipstick on, you know, like, you can do this, just put your red lipstick on. Where before it was like, you don't dare go out without lipstick. You have to have lipstick. You have to have your hair done. You have to have your, you know, waistline a certain size, blah, blah, or whatever. So self-care isn't following what society says you should be or do or look like. Self-care is seriously individualized. And I can't tell you how to take care of yourself. I can't tell you, well, you should go for a walk. You know, I'm just shooting on you then, right? So, yeah, all humans need movement, you know, blah, blah. So, that individual, what is self-care for you? Like Dorrit thought it was putting on her nail polish. And maybe it is. Well, what she was saying is just slapping it on and running out the door. So, like, really taking almost meditative time to do her nails and just be with herself and get creative or whatever, then maybe that's true self-care. What would you say is that you've really discovered? I know it's meditation, but beyond that, Dorrit, what something like doing your nails or whatever really is meditation for you these days? And maybe it is just meditation, walking the dog, but I meant self-care. What is it for you, would you say? Something
What self-care is for me?
Something like doing your nails or this or that. What's a concrete thing? I know for some, especially women with small children, doing the dishes is part of self-care. It's their time or talking on the phone or whatever. So how about for you right now? What is self-care for you?
Self-care for me is when I'm really stressed out and I have a lot of stuff to do and a lot of stuff to think about. I do meditations, but I do them with guided meditations with earplugs. And I just almost put a sign on the door. I just tell my husband, I'm not going to be disturbed until I get out of this room,
Right.
Because I need this time. And it's not about napping or sleeping or things like that. It's just switching the mind off. And for me, I need the guided meditation or some meditation music. I need something to listen to to get me out of that mind loop that is going around with all the things I have to do and all the things I have to remember and all all that stuff. So I'm calling it my I'm going to charge, like charging my phone. So I'm plugging in the phone and I'm plugging in me and I'm charging. So that's
so your self-care is recharging, and the way you recharge is that you let others know a boundary that, okay, I have chosen to, I've decided to recharge. Here's where I'll be. Here's what I'm doing. Here's my expectation of you. I love that. That's really powerful. Yeah. It's such a female thing to not set the boundary or even like we think we have to always ask. It's like, no, tell. Make that decision and then fill others in. Very cool. How about you, Jenny? Slipping off to the bathroom?
Yes, like earlier today. Really, yes, it resonates with me thinking of self-care as a mindset that saturates all areas of my life. It's every action, every word towards myself, inspired out of love and kindness, that I treat myself like I treat someone I love. And I think last year and also continuing this year, it's really owning and relating to my authentic no and my authentic yes. Giving myself that break to just pause and come in touch with myself before I make decisions to see if this is something that I truly align with. and just give myself that pleasure of creating a life that is for me and flows from me and that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And it sounds so big, but it really just comes down to those little small decisions and being authentic and coming back to myself and not stressing it.
Yeah.
It's self-care to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that. Very cool.
I absolutely love that, Jenny. Like just being able to have that autonomy, for lack of a better word, but intentionally with that word, to take that time for yourself to check in and make sure you're doing things that are aligned to what you want to be doing more of. That is true self-care, and something that I've noticed that I do without even thinking about it. And sometimes I notice that I'm doing it and I'm like, okay, I do feel better. But like, I don't even consciously do it anymore. Is sometimes I just start dancing. And I don't mean like full out dancing, but even if whether music is on or not, and I'll just be like in the background of something and like I don't even know that like I'm stressed or overwhelmed or like I haven't checked in with myself in a while. And all of a sudden I'll just be doing a little bump side to side. And then what's even better than that is just without any effort, without even trying or realizing that I'm doing it, I just start trying to bring other people into it. And and so if other people are there and they see me doing it and they just start giggling and I'm like, yeah, I'm just having a good time. I'm just letting go. I'm like, and I don't even think about it. And then before you know it, somebody else next to me is like bopping side to side too. And it just becomes this thing that just puts me in a better mood without even realizing that I needed to be in a better mood. So my body just does it. And that for me, like dancing has always been like a great stress relief. But now that I'm just doing it without even a second thought or hesitation, it centers me. It brings me back to myself.
I love it. And it brings me to this thought that self-care isn't what you have to do. It's what is coming up for you. It's pleasure, it's joy, whatever words you want to put to it. It feels good. It feels right in the moment. You guys know I don't have a to-do list. I have a pleasure list. And the reason I have a list isn't to just, do this first thing and then this. It's not a linear list at all. It's just things that was like, oh yeah, and I can just put things down and I get so much done. 21 books, by 2021, right? So I live in that place of the pleasure list, if you will. And so even if I'm working on, and I always am working on something on my pleasure list. So even if I'm working on something on my pleasure list, when the energy of pleasure, if you will, stops, I check in like, why is it stopping? What time is it? Am I hungry? And then it's like, I'm done. That's why it stopped. And maybe it's in transcription and I only got like a paragraph done. That's cool. And if there's something else on my pleasure list, if I feel like even looking over at the pleasure list, I do that. If I don't, I just turn off my computer completely sometimes to just cut that energy. There's other times where I've like X'd out my tab to LinkedIn, X'd out my tab to Facebook. I still have it on my phone so I can check or hear, if something comes through usually. So yeah, it just varies. And sometimes it's just go turn on, Netflix and watch a series I'm interested in. It might be just picking up a book that, I was wondering if I'd even like read the whole thing and just read a little bit more. And I'm quite the underliner, which drives Terry crazy. So I'll read a book and then he gets to read the book first if we're going to both read a book or I'm in big trouble. Yeah. So how about you? You got something quick that?
Well, I'm famous for taking naps.
Oh yeah.
And I have all my life.
Yep.
And I have found consistently that when I take that nap, I set an intention or something that I've been thinking about or pondering over before I lay down for that nap. And when I wake up, some of my best and most successful programs and company strategies for my clients, et cetera, wake up with me amazing. And, ladies and gentlemen, for you that are just watching the end of this, self-care and self-love is not selfish. It's taking care of you first so you can take care of other people. Because if you're not right, you're not putting it out there that can help other people. So just be with that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end of the time today. Amazing. And for those of you at the beginning of this, I said it's going to be great. It is. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.